To anyone that was at UWS prior to 2015, you'll remember the blue logo, which was colloquially known as the bird. That was far more original than the current logo of the shield with the W, which kind of looks like several other university logos smashed into one. Now, the acronym UWS worked really well, because you have to bear in mind that when you're rebranding a university, you also need to take into account the student clubs and associations that go with this university. So, for example, UWS has hundreds of student clubs across all of their campuses, and many of them incorporated the acronym UWS into their name. So, by changing from UWS to Western Sydney University, all the clubs that included UWS in their name and in their logo also have to rebrand with them. Now, clubs don't actually get a lot of funding to begin with, but then now they have to spend extra funding to go with this rebrand. I feel the university didn't quite take that into account when they went with this rebrand. Something else I want to point out with the acronym was the students had access to what's called VUES, which stands for Virtual University of Western Sydney. It was essentially an online platform for students to access classroom materials such as lectures and tutorial slides and have discussions with other classmates online. In trying to align with the rebrand, they should have changed that name, but unfortunately they haven't. If you look at their website, it still says VUES right at the top.
Another thing with a lot of their new designs and posters that they've been making, they try to make these headlines with really bold and impactful headlines, but some of them are inconsistent with the use of grammar and punctuation. So there's a bunch of them that include full stops and others don't, which I found was really weird.
That really gets me.
Mm.
Some of them use a full stop and some of them don't. Now these are only just a few examples of the ones that we have, but if you want to see more of these, all you have to do is just look at the posters on the sides of buses or the billboards at the train stations, and now that we've pointed it out, you're probably not going to be able to unsee this either.
You know, with WSU's logic of the full stop, they may as well just apply it to everything. As a designer, I feel like this rebrand is a bit bland. It is bland and corporate. It's very monotone, and I'm not sure the crimson red really brings out what it means to be a university. So how about I do a little play around on Photoshop and see what sort of things we can come up with. But before we jump into Illustrator, how about we just get our notebook out and sketch out some ideas. And we're just going to rapidly sketch out some things here, as there are so many different ways that you can go from the University of Western Sydney to Western Sydney University. So over here I'm just trying out different ways that they could have done the Western Sydney University logo. I've tried various things such as like a monogram and like a stacked version. But I'm still trying to incorporate the bird from the original logo, because I think that the bird really made the original logo, and I think if you really want to go with this Western Sydney University name change, you probably should still try to figure out a way that you can incorporate that bird back into the logo. The good thing about sketching is you just get to sketch out things that just come into your head straight away. You know, there's no delay. Just basically get it out from your head onto paper, and then you can just come up with so much more. And now I'm going to just try some of these out on Illustrator and see how they look. Okay, so now we're in Illustrator, and as you can see, I've quickly just vectorized one of the sketches that I did, and I've given it this sort of very modern look. Now, if you remember the old logo with the bird, I've incorporated it into this new look as well. So just quickly talking about this design for a bit, is that I'm going with the old name of University of Western Sydney, but I've got this symbol up here, and it's kind of like a monogram, but together it looks like W and S, right? So you can see that as Western Sydney. At the same time, you can also see a U, which makes up the left side of the bird, and that can just be like a clever way of keeping the original initials of UWS. Now I'm just going to see what else I can do here. Let's say we get a nice typeface like Futura. Let's make it the bold. And let's make this really big so we can see it. If they really wanted to go with the WSU abbreviation, let's see what we can do with that. So these are the sort of characters we got to work with. And what I'll do is I'll just take the abbreviation, which is WSU. So we've kind of got this shape, right? And it's interesting because first thing I just noticed is if you turn it upside down, it's kind of like a rocket. I don't know if you want to incorporate that idea into your logo, but that's something you can explore. I mean, it could be education of the future that sort of propels you out into outer space, you know? That's one way of looking at it. Now I just want to talk about this one again for a sec. Obviously it's not perfect, but the point of doing this is to explore different ideas. And I like the old blue that they had with the previous logo. That's just a personal opinion. I know that they decided to go for the red for a deep connection to the land, but I think you're just overdoing it instead of focusing on what really matters, and that is the students and the people, the stakeholders who are involved with the university itself. And because of these changes, you have affected quite a lot of people, and I feel like you could have just done better with the logo in general. And I just wanted to say that had you guys spent a little bit more time and investment into having a more professional logo, or should I say a more timeless logo, rather than the one that you have settled for, I think it would have worked out a lot better for the rebrand. My advice would have been to just stick with the original name, try and make it more modern and timeless, maybe keep the bird. I don't know, that's a decision that you have to spend a lot of time thinking on. But yeah, guys, I think I'll just leave it at that for now.
While I'm open to a brand change, I actually encourage a brand change. I feel the way Western Sydney University went about their brand change was a bit too drastic. Their changes impacted on quite a lot of other parties, which I feel were not considered at the time. They could have stayed with the same colour scheme. They could have stayed with a similar logo. They could have stayed with the same name. But changing all of those at the same time, I feel was a bit too drastic. You know those American teen movies where there's that one outcast person who doesn't realise how many friends they have, and then they try to change themselves to try and fit in with the cool kids, and in doing so they lose all the friends they actually had? That's Western Sydney University. Thanks for watching Brand Patrol. If you like this video, then be sure to like, subscribe, comment and share. Tell your mates about it.
And if you want to see more of Lawrence, stay tuned for his YouTube channel, because it will be up and running soon. Alright guys, thanks for watching. Bye. You've just been branded by Brand Patrol.
Thanks for watching Brand Patrol.